Hello there, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. There is a monster in us all. You know, we all have a beast inside of us, right? We all have the ability to exist in this very primal, uncaged, untamed energy. We all have the power of darkness, the power to access our darkness, and the power to access within that our anger, right? Which begets our boundaries. And, you know, we never really see ourselves as monstrous or as animals or as monsters or beastly or as beasts, but there is possibility for that inside of all of us if we tap into those parts and that part and those aspects of us that are deemed as shameful and wrong and bad. Because think about it, when you think of a monster, when you think of a beast, you automatically kind of think of something that is uncontrollable, out of line, wrong, shameful, like Beauty and the Beast, right? Or you think of like Beastly, where the guy was a beast. He was actually very handsome, I think, and then he turned into a beast from what I remember, and then it was like, oh, he didn't want to be seen because he looked so monstrous and insidious and like, wah, you know, but did he really look that bad? Did the Beast in Beauty and the Beast really have or look that shameful, right? Or was that just this kind of belief system and this rhetoric that was projected onto those characters and then projected to us? Something that I heard somebody say when I was watching them on a live was television, right? This is why they want you to watch television, because tell a vision. Everything that we watch, we receive from, no matter where it is, in person, on TV, wherever, whatever. And so it's things like this that kind of shape our reality and our world surrounding what it means to access and allow the monster, the primal, the uncaged inside of us out. What if our inner monster, the monster in us all, does not have to be shameful, but rather harmonized and righteous and loyal and loved? What if it doesn't have to be bad or wrong to express the parts of you that are wild, that are free, that are wanting to be let go? Because you see, we're taught to be timid. I've been taught to be timid and small and shrink and to fear. But when I really think about it, and as I continue to step into my power, I see, I don't think I'm actually timid at all. I don't think I'm small at all. I don't think I'm meant to be shrunken at all. I think I'm actually meant to be very big, right? Very free, very uncaged, very bold. But when we're taught that boldness and power in boldness and boundaries in anger and even fear maybe is wrong, and fire is wrong or bad, then we resist it. We push it away. We say, no, that's not good. Don't be like that. I can't be like that. That's not nice, right? That's not good. We're taught to be, and I've been taught to be, especially as a woman, a black woman, right? I've been taught to be palatable and nice and kind. But what if that's not really who you're meant to be or who you really are at all? What if power is not just about niceness and, you know, kindness and being palatable and fitting in, but what if it's about being honest, being real, being raw, having range of emotions, right? And standing for something, fighting for what you believe in. What do you see as just? What do you see as unjust? What do you see as fair? What do you see as unfair? And are you willing to stand on the line for it, right? Are you willing to be a sort of rebel with a cause? I feel like accessing the monster in myself and the monster in us all, for us all, it's about really allowing ourselves to see beyond the veil of the delusion of belief that society has conditioned us to participate in, where the monster inside of you is wrong and bad and shameful, and don't be harsh, or don't be mean, or don't be... Now, of course, I'm not saying be harsh and be mean, but I'm saying everybody has their limits. Everybody has something or some things that they believe and it is right or wrong and good or bad or just or unjust. And I feel that if something is unfair, if something is unjust, it ought to be fought for. It ought to be stood against. It ought to be challenged, right? In that honesty, in that rawness, in that realness. And that happens by trusting our instincts and trusting our intuition, right? Trusting when we feel called to speak or not speak, roar or not roar, be bold or not be bold. Listen to our intuition, follow what we feel, question what we feel. In other words, we've almost been taught to not trust ourselves. And not even almost, but we have, right? To not trust our natural abilities, to overthink, to rethink, to forget. And that's why we are on this path of remembrance, to remember. Being a monster isn't about wreaking havoc for havoc's sake. But for me, it's about wreaking havoc for the cause, with purpose, with intention, in harmony. Because we need both the angel and the devil, right? We need both the good and the bad, the light and the dark, to help us evolve here on Earth School, here at Earth School. If everything was good, where would we have to grow? Where would we have to experience? If everything was bad, where would we have to grow? Where would we have to experience? And so we need contrast. We need that angel, but we need that devil. We need that monster, but we need that saint. And letting the monster out doesn't mean, oh, I'm just going to go off on everybody and I'm just going to do whatever I want and not care about who it impacts. No, that's not what I'm speaking to. But I'm speaking to a very specific power, a raw, primal, instinctual power that exists within all of us that naturally exposes itself when it feels like this isn't right, this isn't fair, this is not okay, this is not true, this is not part of or respectful or honoring who I am or who that person is or who that community is or what I believe. I feel like the monster in us is like boundaries. It helps us to take a stand. And when you're not standing for anything, you're falling for everything, huh? If you stand for nothing, you could fall for anything. And so the monster in all of us says, what are you really about? What do you really want? How do you really feel? But the monster, I think, in movies like Beauty and the Beast and Beastly, the beast still got sad. The beast still felt alone or rejected, even like in Shrek, right? Shrek felt rejected and alone and ostracized. He still felt the range of emotion, but he wasn't always loved in the soft, right? He wasn't always appreciated in his dualistic nature. He was only seen and known for his monster, for his ogre, for his big and bad. even if deep down he was actually much softer, right? Even if the Beast in Beauty and the Beast was actually much more charming and kind. And so being a monster, embracing the monster in you doesn't mean I'm only this specific way. It means I'm everything and I embrace it all, and all of it is okay, and that makes me fiery. That makes me a monster. That makes me a whole being, right? We think, oh, be the bigger person, just be the bigger person. But the monster says, no, I'm gonna be a real person. The world says, oh, don't feel that sadness, don't feel that anger. The monster says, I'm gonna feel the anger, I'm gonna feel the sadness, and I'm going to express it. I'm gonna let it free because I know that's what I deserve. Society has locked us in a cage with this thinking that we are monotone, that we are one-leveled, that we are naturally caged, when really we're meant to be uninhibited, we're meant to be free. But that comes from paying attention to what you receive and the projections, the television that you are intaking. Food for thought. Because you see, the monster in us all, especially now in these times of this new earth being created and the old earth falling apart, and new earth leaders stepping into spot and into position, people healing, people up leveling, people destroying, people destructing, people abusing their power, people learning how to embody power. There's so many things going on in this world, and I feel that life is calling on us to I spy with my little eye the monster within, because the monster in us all is going to give us the ability to express and allow what's truly meant to be created. And until next time, definitely go ahead and like, comment, because I do want to connect with you, and subscribe. I'll see you. Bye.